Hey YouTube, today I'd like to do a video about the recent earthquake in Christchurch, New Zealand. What's prompted me to do this is I saw a video the other day. Actually, a friend of mine emailed me the link, so I went and checked it out, and it was a YouTuber on here that is trying to put HAARP on the New Zealand earthquake based on the rainbow colours in the sky, whales beaching themselves on a beach. She's got some graph there. Actually, another comment on a video said that graph was from somewhere else and not where she claimed it to be, but that's neither here nor there. The reason I'm making this video is that this video has got an enormous amount of attention in a short space of time, and it sort of pisses me off that people are getting the wrong information and they're just grasping at anything they can as to put a blame on this and to scream HAARP. Now, don't get me wrong, I know a lot about HAARP in the sense, well, I say I know a lot about it. I know about it as much as everybody else does, I suppose, that looks it up and bothers to look into it. If anyone saw the Jesse Ventura series, he did a HAARP one there. That sort of gives people a general understanding of how it works and how it heats up the ionosphere and be able to direct energy to certain points. And the fact that it could create an earthquake, it possibly can, and I don't doubt that. The fact that it can alter the weather, I don't have a problem with that either. In fact, there's evidence that in the Vietnam War they used HAARP technology to create monsoonal rains to stop the enemy from crossing a river. So there's also evidence that HAARP was used, I think it was 91 in the initial invasion of Iraq when they kicked them out of Kuwait. By using HAARP technology, they put a sense of disorientation and paranoia in the troops, in the Iraqi troops. And basically they just surrendered by the thousands when the US and coalition went in. So, just to put the HAARP business aside, I absolutely believe in HAARP. I know it's true. There's, it's there for everyone to see. There's big ones in Alaska. There's ones here in Australia. They're all over the place. They're all over the place. And no one really gets to but everyone's just, the authorities are just claiming it's research without giving any sort of explanation. Anyone with half a brain knows that they're using it to do other things, and that's fair enough. But getting back to this video that was made, let me get the details so I know what I'm talking about there. Her name is Brutal Truth Media Maui, and she brought out a lot of information, and she's connecting the dots, and she's claiming it to be evidence and proof. And it's just not evidence and proof. When you get rainbow-coloured in the sky, rainbow-coloured clouds in the sky, it doesn't instantly mean it's HAARP. Whether HAARP leaves a chemical signature in the clouds, such as a rainbow effect, then that's another question. But to categorically say that HAARP did New Zealand and HAARP did Chile and HAARP did this, and it's just outrageous. It's videos like this that really make it hard for us to wake people up. Because looking at it, even as a truther, Lord, watching that video, I was cringing throughout it, because there isn't any evidence of anything. Whales beaching themselves, well, they navigate with their sonars, and with the static and magnetic alterations from tectonic movement, that would be enough to disorientate whales. So there's scientific evidence to prove that it's possible the whales were disorientated from the earthquake itself, nothing to do with HAARP. So it just, look, I'd like to think that it was that we had proof of HAARP so that we could actually finally do something about it, but you haven't got the proof. There is no proof. it's unfortunate. I tried to explain to this girl that there's a professor on here, Scott, my mate Scott in America, Believers Underground. The guy's a professor. If we, and he's a truther. He's one of us. He's not one on the other side. He's one of us, and he cares about everyone. And he put a video out not long ago, and I'll put all the links below, about that. If you have these strange phenomena in the clouds, the rainbow coloured clouds, to send him a video or a photo of it, so he can, because he's got the ability to distinguish what it's come from. Okay, so if it is a potential earthquake sign, then he'll know and be able to get a video out to the people of that area to just really be on the guard for that time period. And for this girl to deny that information and just somewhat, actually, she's deleted a lot of my comments that I left there, trying to help people understand that there's explanations as to why this earthquake could have happened. And here's one of them. I downloaded a video that Smokin' Joe Trainer did just before the earthquake, like the day before, a couple of days before, and here's that audio now. I'll play that and I'll get back to you on the other side.
Another big thing in the news today is that the biggest solar flare in years is about to hit Earth, and they're really jacking that up because the solar flare hit Earth as soon as it happened. The coronal ejection following the solar flare is set to hit Earth today or tomorrow, and I'd wager today. I actually expected yesterday. And if you haven't noticed, it's quite warm. It's going to be I don't know about everywhere else, but it's going to be very nice and warm here today. We will actually be breaking 70 degrees tomorrow, which I'll have to attribute that to this nice bit of solar plasma. Now, whether it's related or not, and I don't think it is related, there was an earthquake in Arkansas today. It's 12 miles northeast of Conway. And depending on whether you look at IRIS or the USGS, the USGS is calling that a 3.8 magnitude. IRIS is calling that a 4.7 magnitude. And of course, don't forget they changed the earthquake scales, the Richter scales, back years ago, so it's actually 1 point higher than either one of those recordings. Every earthquake you hear about is downgraded by 1 point compared to the old scale. So that 8.8 in Chile last year was actually a 9.8 by the old Richter scale. Keep that in mind. They did change a lot of this stuff in advance to keep anybody from getting nervous. Those people out there that are claiming that Chile was HAARP, let me call you all morons. Chile was also triggered by a coronal mass ejection. Much, much, much smaller than the one that's about to hit us right now. We haven't had one the size it's about to hit us right now, hit us in, and not as long as I've been watching the sun, not in the last 2 years. This will be by far the biggest, and I mean on a large scale magnitude. This will be much bigger than any that have hit us. And whereas I cannot really predict exactly what will happen, I would be willing to bet that we'll get at least a 7.5 magnitude earthquake somewhere in the southern hemisphere. We might see something equally as big in the northern hemisphere. And we're bound to see it get warmer. We're bound to see some electrical storms. We're bound to see some crazy weather as a result.
Well, okay, folks. Shortly after Andrew made that video, I'd say I think it was within 24 hours, maybe a little bit longer, the earthquake that happened in Christchurch took place. So, I'm not one of these people that study and follow the sun. That's why I'm subscribed to Andrew, because he does, and he breaks it down and he roughly tells me what's going on. And he's knowledgeable in that field. That's his forte. That's what he does. So this video basically is about bringing some natural reasons as to why the earthquake happened in Christchurch, and not just screaming HAARP every time there's a tornado or a hurricane or a cyclone, or depending on where you're from, droughts, whatever the weather modifications that this thing can do. Every single event today, everyone's just screaming HAARP, and I'm sick of it. If there was no natural reason for why this earthquake took place, then let's look at this. Let's look deeper and see if we can really prove that it was HAARP. But there's too much going on naturally to even consider HAARP. Scott from Believers Underground, well, he's a professor, as I mentioned before, and one of the things that he mentions a lot is post-glacial rebound effect. And that is that when the chunks of ice the size of countries come off of, the North and South Poles and the Antarctic that float around the ocean, while that mass is on top of the water there, the pressure that's creating on the ocean floor is enormous. You probably wouldn't think it, but that's really what's happening. That massive, 100-mile chunk of ice that's cruising around on the top, that may as well be on the bottom of the ocean floor, going along the bottom of the floor, because in a sense the pressure is just going straight down to the ocean floor. And so these sort of things have influences on the tectonic plates. As a matter of fact, it was only a couple of years ago that a massive ice cube went past southern New Zealand. As a matter of fact, so there's just natural reasons for it. And Scott's very knowledgeable, and again, I don't know a great deal about that, so I turn to him and I listen to him. But for just someone out of the blue to just come out here and tell everyone that it's evidence and proof, and that's just garbage. And all you're really doing is crying wolf on the whole HAARP issue, because everyone's having a good laugh right now. But when we really do have HAARP activities going on, no one's going to believe us, because because of videos like that this girl put out. Yeah, it just annoys me that the wrong information is getting out there, and that there's natural explanations as to why that could have taken place. And this whole colour in the sky business, it's been going on throughout history. It's documented that these colours in the sky, long before HAARP, because HAARP imitates natural environments, it may very well leave a rainbow chemical signature, as someone likes to call it. But that doesn't prove that it's HAARP, because it happens naturally as well. If it didn't happen naturally, and then all of a sudden we could, we can connect the dots with rainbow colours in the sky and earthquakes, then we could really ask the question and really have an argument. But because that happens naturally, then, this whole HAARP evidence business is just rubbish. I just wanted to get that video out there. If anything out of this video, people can go and sub Smokin' Joe Trainer and Believers Underground. They're in my top 10% here on YouTube. I look forward to their information, because that's what they do. They study those areas, and I look forward to hearing what they've got to say. And it's because of these two people that I've got this information from that's made me cringe about this lady's video, because it just doesn't make sense. And so for you HAARPers want to harp on about HAARP, then go for it. Hang on to your dream there, but not everything's HAARP, All right, have a good day, everyone.